Hello viewers and welcome to Novus Talks with me, your host Novus Corvius. We're back to normal. I got the lamp fixed, had to get a new bulb because that time I knocked it off, turns out the bulb was broken. Thankfully the lamp itself still works. So back to normal, hopefully audio should be okay. And with that all out of the way, let's get right into it. Metroid Prime 4, another Nintendo Direct has come and gone and nothing. Every single time one of these comes along, every E3, every Game Awards, I've even said those exact words before, it's just disappointment time and time again. And I was so certain going into that Direct that just happened that we would see Metroid Prime 4. Because I always felt like it was a November 2023 release. And recent rumors and so-called leakers and big Nintendo YouTubers like Andre's Restart or Game Explain and a few others, Joey Ferris of Game Explain, they were all banking on the same thing, that it was going to be a 2023 release and that their sources had said the same thing. But that's not true, or at least it's not true or at least it's not going to come out until, we're not going to see the game until right before release. Because otherwise, where is it? A lot of this is my own fault, sure, because I, for some inexplicable reason, set myself the date of November 2023. Why? Because Metroid Prime games in particular, all of them have been November, with the exception of the spin-off games. Federation Force was a September game, Hunters was August, and I believe Pinball was August as well. But the main three have all been November games. Most Metroid games, they all fall into August, September, October, November. Prime Remaster is the one exception to that. So for that reason, I thought it was going to come out this year. And you know, some people are saying it's still coming out in the fiscal year, which means it could come out by February. I don't see Metroid Prime 4 as a February release, but maybe it is. I don't know. That's besides the point. It wasn't in the Direct, so that left me really deflated. I enjoyed Luigi's Mansion 2 getting ported. I enjoyed the new Princess Peach game. I have my issues with Super Mario Wonder. But the lack of Metroid really left me disheartened. Not even Prime 2 and 3. Because we thought when we got Prime Remastered in February, it's like, okay, a June Direct we'll get Prime 2, a September Direct we'll get Prime 3, and then Prime 4 sometime after. But no, that's not even happening. Nintendo is so unpredictable. The most obvious things you think they're going to do, they don't do them. Sometimes that's for the best. In a lot of cases, it's for the worst. They don't do what you expect them to do, or at least they don't do the same thing twice. And it was made all the more frustrating when they showed Pikmin 1 and 2 are coming to Switch, Luigi Mansion 2 is coming to Switch, like all the Metal Gear games and all the Batman games are coming to Switch, the Batman Arkham games. So why not Prime 2 and 3? Sure, they're probably coming out much closer to release, if they're even coming at all, because the rumors said they might not be coming. But even still, if they're not going to show Prime 4, it seemed logical they would show that. But I've had the same discussion with you guys in the past. Like, the last 4 years, every event that's passed, I'm like, well, if they don't show Prime 4, they can at least show the Prime Trilogy, and so on, so on. This is a cycle. We're constantly doing this, and I'm fed up, guys. I'm so just worn out by this. I don't even know if we're going to see in September. I'm not even going to think about it come September Direct, which means that's probably when it will show up. But I'm at a point now where I'm like, you know what? There's no point in even trying to guess if Metroid Prime 4 is going to be there anymore, because it's just impossible to predict. Nintendo are just literally impossible to predict, and it's just frustrating otherwise. So when it comes time for a September Direct, I'm not going to be putting any predictions toward Metroid, unless there's something actually concrete about it. But if not, then when do we see it? What's my thoughts right now on that? I actually don't think we'll see it in September, because the same reason we didn't see it all along, the same reason we didn't see like Mario Wonder or all these other games all along. Nintendo wanted to focus on Tears of the Kingdom. That's out. Now they're going to want to focus on Mario Bros. Wonder. They're not going to take attention away from that from Metroid. Prime 4 will be shown long after Mario releases. So that means next year. A February Direct seems a bit early in the year, but it would fall within seeing the game in the fiscal year, so technically the rumours would be half correct. So maybe it is February next year, maybe they wait a full year. Or maybe Prime 2 and 3 come out next February. That is assuming there's not like another game announced in September, another big game that will take precedent before Metroid, and there probably will be. And of course, there's the whole thing about new hardware. Is Nintendo waiting till their next console to show Metroid? All along, the rumors were like, oh, Nintendo will show it for the Switch Pro, or Tears of the Kingdom for the Switch Pro, 3D Mario for the Switch Pro, and we saw how that turned out, right? But it kind of makes sense, because early on, like the job listings and stuff were talking about like hardware specifications that seemed more advanced than the Switch, and YouTubers like Super Metal Dave, who I based a lot of my Metroid Prime 4 videos around. He was my sources for a lot of the news and the job listings and the information they provided. And he was interpreting a lot of that as meaning Metroid Prime 4 was going to be a Switch Pro, launching with a Switch Pro. And obviously that system doesn't exist, so I guess that other hardware would be Nintendo's next gen. Because it would make sense that they spent a couple of years developing it. So does that mean we're not going to see it till next gen? And that brings up the whole point that, well, Nintendo could show their next gen, but we might not see Metroid Prime 4 immediately. They might wait a couple of months. And they probably will, is a thing. We can't say for certain. That's what it's coming down to. Even the job listings, they've stopped mentioning Metroid Prime 4, but Retro is still hiring. Yeah, it's probably for their next game, because we know they're working on something else now, but they could still be working on Metroid. We don't know for 100% sure. We can only guess with logic, but even logic seems to be failing us here. Granted, there's the fact that Prime Remastered just came out. That's the caveat in this. So that means Prime 4 crossed a milestone. Does that mean the game is done? Does that mean it's coming out? They held on to Prime Remaster for 2 years. For all we bloody know, Metroid Prime 4 could have been finished 2 years ago as well. I don't have any answers, and that's what frustrates me the most, because I feel like I'm repeating myself. I'm essentially making the same video every time I talk about Metroid Prime 4. There's nothing new. It's been 5 years since Retro got the game, and there's nothing so far to show about it. The upside to that, the positive, is that when we do see the game, it's not going to be a teaser. It's going to be a full-blown reveal. To which I say, presumably, you assume Nintendo will do a big, massive reveal, because that's why they've been holding off so long and they've been edging the fans, and it's time to show them everything. But you can't predict Nintendo. Who would have thought they'd remaster Prime 1 and ignore 2 and 3? No one. So how do we know when we do see Prime 4 it's not going to be a 20-second teaser? It could very well be. Sure, logic says that it would have to be a full-blown trailer to make up for all those years of frustration, but I don't think Nintendo really cares about expectations in that sense. They just care about their own internal timelines and schedules for stuff, and that's what it ultimately comes down to. And that stuff's impossible to predict. So I am really disheartened. After watching that Direct, genuinely, it took me back to the time Metroid Prime 4 was restarted. That was exactly how I felt after watching that Direct. You can see it in my face in those videos, especially my Super Mario Wonder reaction, because that was the last thing of the Direct. My face just collapsed because I realized that's it. We went another Direct without Metroid. I was so disheartened, disappointed, crushed, gutted after that Direct, the same way I was when the game was restarted, because it felt like that was the time. But it wasn't. And I don't know when is. I want to hold on hope that when we do inevitably see the game, that it will be a huge reveal. But I don't know about that either. It could be something small. They could show it before new hardware comes out. But the one thing I do know for sure is that the game will be phenomenal. That's the only reason I'm holding on hope, because unlike Bayonetta 3, or unlike some other games where you could be like, oh, I don't know, there's always a chance they could mess this up. Metroid Prime, after Metroid Dread came out and we saw 15 years waiting for that game, and that game turned out phenomenal. Metroid Prime Remaster comes out and it's excellent and visually stunning. I have faith in Retro Studios. Sure, it's not entirely the same people who made the original 3, but they just remade Prime 1, so they've gone back and looked at what made Metroid special. Nintendo scrapped the bloody game in the first place, so Nintendo's adamant about getting it right. So all of these factors, I know for a fact, I'm 100% certain that Metroid Prime 4 will be jaw-dropping. It will blow us away when we see it. And I know for a fact it will most likely be the best Metroid game. And that's the thing, that's the only thing giving me hope now at this point, is that in a year or so from now, all of this frustration will be pushed aside for the fact that it was worth it for this phenomenal game. I don't know if that will be the best game ever made. I'm sure, like any video game, it will have its flaws. Even Metroid Dread had plenty of flaws. But still, I think we all know deep down Metroid Prime 4 is going to be something unbelievable. It will be the game fans want it to be. Now, how will it work sales-wise, and whether that will change Metroid's directory with sales, that's a whole other discussion. Far too early to be discussing any of that. But yeah, I needed to get all of this off my head because Metroid Prime 4 has defeated me. I don't know. There's nothing to say about the game anymore until we see it. And it frustrates me because I want to talk about this game a lot. I would love to make 100 videos on Prime 4. But until we get something, there's nothing. I've made theory videos on the story in the past. I've made videos on the job listings, all of this stuff, but that's all run dry. So I'm going to have to park Metroid Prime 4 here. Similarly to when the game was restarted, I'm kind of just going to blank the game from my mind. That's what I'm going to do. I did that for like a solid 2 years after that restart. I just told myself, look, pretend this game doesn't exist because you're not going to see it for a long time. And I might just have to do it here now because it could be this time next year. It most likely will be this time next year before we see the game. Or if Nintendo's next system is even further off, it could be the end of next year. So, because we're potentially an entire year away, could be less, could be more, there's nothing else to say. I'm just repeating myself constantly and I'm just really frustrated and disappointed. But let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. What did you think of the Nintendo Direct? How do you feel about the Metroid Prime 4 situation? Are you disappointed? Did you expect the game? When do you think we'll see it? Will we see it in September? I want to hear your thoughts down in the comment section below. And with that all said, thank you all for watching and please subscribe. Novus Corvius out.